In part 2 of this emotional story, Pandem Mlalahoi finally won the court case that destroyed himself and his family for years. But just when hope begins to return, in this part 3, a new battle quietly begins behind closed doors. A battle that will test the family beyond anything they have ever faced. Sometimes, winning a case is not the same as receiving justice. Stay with us until the end of this heartbreaking chapter of The Price for Justice in My Motherland. After years of pain, suffering, and endless court battles, Pandem Mlalahoi finally won the case at the Court of Appeal. For the first time in many years, a fragile sense of hope entered the family. Pandem, now confined to a wheelchair, returned home together with his mother, his wife Mkapendeza, and their daughter Egelinstall. They were exhausted, but for once, they were also slightly happy. It felt as though a new beginning had finally arrived. The Court of Appeal had spoken boldly. The judges had declared the eviction unlawful. Compensation had been ordered. The shop rooms had legally been returned to Pandem Mlalahoi's family. The family believed that because the judgment came from the highest level of the judiciary, payment of the court remedies would follow immediately. But they were wrong, and indeed very wrong. Only a few days later, Pandem sent his firstborn daughter, Gianna, to the court registry to understand how and when the compensation would be paid. Gianna returned home carrying unexpected news. At the court, she had been told,
"Your father must first file an application for the bill of cost. After the bill of cost is heard, the tax master will give an appropriate claim of the court remedies. Then he must file application for execution of the court orders to enforce the court remedies."
Gianna's heart sank immediately. She looked at her father sitting weakly in the wheelchair and realized the painful truth. Pandem Mlalahoi was too sick, too weak, and too exhausted to begin another legal process. That evening, she explained everything to her mother, Mkapendeza. Mkapendeza sat silently for a long time. The room was quiet except for the distant sounds of children playing outside and Pandem's weak coughing. Poverty, exhaustion, and responsibility filled the air like a heavy fog. Then Mkapendeza slowly lifted her head.
"We must return to the lawyer,"
she said quietly.
"He is our only hope now."
The following morning, Mkapendeza and Gianna visited the lawyer's office. They explained the court's instructions and begged him to urgently help them recover the compensation and other court remedies because the family was starving. The lawyer listened carefully before responding.
"Before execution can begin, we must first file the bill of costs. After that, having been heard, we shall then file the application for execution order."
Mkapendeza nodded desperately.
"Please help us.
She pleaded.
My husband is very sick."
"I can file both applications,"
he said calmly.
"but I will need legal fees."
Silence filled the room. The family had nothing left, no savings, no property, no land. After a long, painful pause, Mkapendeza finally spoke.
"We cannot pay you now, but if the money is recovered, we promise you 25% of the court award from the bill of cost."
The lawyer remained silent for a moment. Then he slowly nodded.
"We must put that agreement in writing."
The agreement was prepared immediately. Mkapendeza signed it with trembling hands. The lawyer signed afterward. Then the legal process began once again. That evening, Mkapendeza and Gianna explained everything to Pandem. For the first time in many years, A faint light returned to his tired eyes. Weakly, Pandem looked toward his elderly mother and whispered,
"When the money comes, I will buy you another home in the village."
His mother smiled softly. Tears formed in her eyes as she looked upward and whispered,
"Thank God. Maybe I will finally return home before I die."
Days passed, then weeks, then months, then a full year. But neither the bill of costs nor the execution application was heard by the court. No compensation came. No shop rooms were returned to Pandem. No enforcement happened. No progress was made. The family continued waiting in silence. Every morning, Pandem's mother asked the same question.
"When am I going back to my village?"
And every day the room remained silent. One morning, Mkapandiza, Gianna, and two of the children left home searching for any kind of work. Food had become extremely scarce. At home, they left the youngest daughter, Rachnoi, to care for Pandem and his elderly mother. That evening, they returned carrying only a few food items. But the moment they entered the room, panic consumed them. Pandem's mother was lying helplessly on the floor, struggling to breathe. Rachnoi cried uncontrollably nearby. Pandem sat frozen in his wheelchair, unable to help. Mkapandiza rushed to assist the old woman, but there was no money for a doctor, no medicine, no transport, only fear, only helplessness. That day, the other two children managed to earn only 2,000 nagananas, but the hospital demanded 10,000 nagananas simply for examination. The family became trapped inside poverty itself. Makapandiza remained home, caring for both her husband and mother-in-law while hoping for a miracle. But miracles never came. 10 painful days passed. Pandem's mother became weaker and weaker. Still, there was no money to take her to the hospital. On the 11th day, Pandem complained that rats inside the tiny room had become unbearable. Weakly, he asked Mavea,
"If you manage to earn some money tomorrow, please buy rat poison. These rats no longer let me rest."
The following day, Mavea miraculously managed to earn a small amount of money through casual labor. On his way home, he bought rat poison and quietly handed it to his father. A few days later, Pandem gathered his family around him, and all sat for dinner together that night. Tears rolled slowly down his face as he stared silently at each of them, each already taken their sleeping positions, some seated, while few slept on worn-out mattress on the floor. Then Pandem weakly whispered,
"I have to go back to my home."
His elderly mother smiled faintly. She believed her son meant the village. She believed the compensation had finally arrived. She believed they would finally return home. But when morning came, Pandem Mlalahoi was found dead. The room exploded into screams and confusion. Neighbors rushed inside. Children cried loudly. Police were called. Pandem's body was taken to the hospital for post-mortem examination. Later, doctors delivered the devastating conclusion. Pandem Mlalahoi's death was caused by poison. The family was instructed to collect the body for burial, but they had no money, not even enough to transport the body, not even enough for funeral arrangements. Mkapandiza and Gianna walked to the local council offices, begging for government assistance so Pandem could receive a public burial. They had lost everything: the land, the home, the family dignity, And now, Pandem himself, the man who spent years fighting for justice, had died before receiving its relief. A man who trusted the law, waited for justice, won the case, yet still lost his life while waiting for the judgment to mean something in reality.
Respect the law, defend justice, protect families.
Subscribe to our channel and follow the powerful continuation of this story in Part 4.